Hello, what's up, y'all? L.A.R. movement still moving. As y'all know, I go live from time to time. If y'all see the title of this and you coming in, the bitter and broken brigade. This has to do with male and female dynamic, and sometimes just a relationship dynamic of people, where there are a lot of bitter and broken people who want to quote unquote be unbroken and be and not be bitter anymore, but they can't help themselves. And they kind of always go back into bitter and broken tactics and bitter and broken ideologies and bitter and broken situations. Ron, what's happening? There must be, you know what, George? Did you follow my challenge on two of them videos I put up yesterday? That's all I need to know. I told you I'm the king of the temptations. What's up, Edward, third degree? So this is about people, the brigade of bitter and broken people who don't, who really just not gonna ever not be broken and bitter because they're addicted to it. Now, and this came up because of a few reasons. A good conversation I had yesterday with a friend of mine, and something that just happened about 20 minutes ago. With my son's mother, who just wants to start an argument for no reason. But I'm like, cool, man, yeah, that's me. But the first thing first is, the bitter and broken brigade is full of people who had childhood trauma or teenage trauma, or adult trauma that they didn't get over. They didn't, whether they got therapy or not, or avoided therapy. Big Poke Dog, Mike, what's going on? Truth Seeker, what's happening? He said only one lead second. You ain't ish, George. But so something happened to you as a child, boys might have got beaten, girls might have got touched. And that's an understandable reason. The boys might have got touched too, and the girls might have got beaten. And that's an understandable reason. That's an understandable reason for you to be broken. That's an understandable reason for you to be bitter at a certain point. But the question is, who are you pointing it at the right people? Is every man you come across that evil? You know what I'm saying? Young Jay, what's happening? Latrell, what's good? Is every woman you come across evil? Or you treat them as a potential, user or abuser, right? So I got to ask that question, like, yo, what it is. So because of your childhood trauma, your teenage trauma, your adult trauma, you bitter. And the problem with being bitter like that is, what's up, Franklin, is that now you're bitter at the wrong people. And when people come along who are actually good people and good to you, guess what happens? You treat them the same way that you're bitter about getting treated. So now you're in the bitter and broken brigade, and you're trying to add on soldiers. And you say you can't help yourself, but I believe you can. I just don't think you want to. That's just my opinion. You got people who are traumatized as far as being in a chaotic household, right? So they say they want peace, but guess what they create? Drama everywhere they go. They bring drama to peaceful situations. When everything cool, they gotta kick up some dust. You know what I'm saying? When everything's good, they gotta do something to make it bad. Certain people that we all know in our lives that we've come across in life, if you live long enough, there are certain people who are always going through something. And the common denominator is they always mess up a good thing because they bitter and they broken. So when the minute something going good, they probably feel like they don't deserve it. What's up, Tony? They probably feel like they don't deserve it, or it's uncomfortable for them. So they gotta, torpedo the whole situation because of their traumas, whether it be childhood, teenage, or adult. Some people are bitter and broken sexually because of things that happened when they were younger. They might have been touched, or women, they might have got assaulted by men, and they bitter and they broken because of it. Some go, hypersexual. Some go, lesbian. Some go, I'm very apprehensive of men, and some go, I'm looking for a protector. It just depends. But all of them might not have, you know, one eye open like CBS, reasonable doubt reference, towards men, right? So even if he's a good guy, she can't see past her trauma. Erica, how you going? I'm talking about both, Erica. That's why it's a brigade. You just heard me talking about the ladies. I talked about the men prior to that. But I'm talking about both. Everybody going, because it ain't like the men is well and the women is, no, it's both ways. It's both ways. So just so you know, that's where we going with this one. And salute to you. And if anybody haven't subscribed to Erica that's in here right now, subscribe. You know. So, it worked. Wait a minute. Hold on. I think somebody's trying to get at me. Oh, that was hilarious. Yeah, so anyway, Bo's been cutting up since Kobe. Yeah, and you know, that shows that people are broken and bitter, because part of that Kobe thing is a bunch of people who are projecting probably the things that they hated in their lives onto Kobe, though he's passed, and don't even see how bitter and broken and vindictive that they actually are. You know, because whatever happened in his life had nothing to do with theirs, but they got to make it about them. You know, which brings me to point 2 of the bitter and broken brigade. Some people are bitter and broken because they took too many losses. Like, some people in life can take a loss. Some people can take many losses. Some people have a short memory of, hey, yeah, I got beat that time. Some people have a will to bounce back. Other people fell down so many times and lost so many times and failed so many times that they landed they're like Humpty Dumpty. You know what I'm saying? You know, but they can't put themselves back together. So now they bitter and broken because truth is, all they know how to do now is lose. And they become haters. They hate people who are winning, and more so, not just the people who are winning, because the people who are winning, they attribute that to them having God-given talent. What's up, Devin? Them having God-given talent, or them being special, or things lined up for them. But it's the people who they look at as human, and those people become more and more successful, and they've created something, even though they've seen that person fall down a million times and get back up, or get dissed or disrespected or treated bad. And I'm sorry, Erica, my bad. I wasn't even thinking, sure. I appreciate that. Thank you. You know, and thank you for swinging by. You need a bodyguard. You hilarious. You know. If you're gonna be here, shoot. If it's in the afternoon, I might be able to stop through, because I work all week this week, like Monday through Saturday. So let me know when and the time. If it's a good time, I definitely come through and say hello. Definitely do that. But going back to the too many losses, right? I've known people when I was in high school. I played cornerback, receiver, running back, safety, linebacker. Not big enough for linebacker. I just knew the position well. Strong safety, punt, kickoff, return. I was one of those people who could do everything. But my coach told me something that has stuck with me. He said, if you're a cornerback, you got to have a short memory, because everybody is going to see if you get beat. You know, everybody sees you get beat, but nobody sees the D lineman get beat or the linebacker get beat. All they see is the defensive back either missing a tackle or making a tackle, or somebody running by them. A defensive back rather. And I thought about that. That works in life with people. People are broken because they don't have the mannerism to bounce back. Dapper, what's happening? They don't have the mentality to bounce back. Darnell, what's happening? They don't have the mentality to say, yeah, that happened yesterday, or that happened then. I ain't worried about that. I'm moving on. Like, yeah, and some people we look at as arrogant, because some people who are bitter and broken, they actually have that is arrogant for them, because they keep breaking other things and creating bitterness everywhere they go. And they want to, that was just yesterday. No, now you're creating a trail of tears with your trifling life, because you bitter and broken, and you want people to forget your shenanigans. It wasn't like you got beat fair and square, or somebody took a loss fair and square, you played somebody. You get what I'm saying? So bitter and broken people, they took too many losses to the point where they can't take a loss anymore. They're so busy, I ain't gonna take a loss, that they're trying to fight people and create wins and make up wins and cheat to win and lie to win and steal to win and manipulate to win and be a victim to win, hoping that somebody's gonna give them a win because they took too many losses, and they're bitter at other people who just winning because they put in the work. They seized the moment. They prepared, they studied, they took their life at least more seriously in spite of the losses. And I think what hurts people more is, people in the very type of situations that you were in coming up, and they're doing better than you. So now that they're doing better than you hate them for that, right? So because you hate them for that, now all of a sudden you're part of the bitter and broken brigade, So now you can't take a loss and everybody else is winning. And it's like, man, that's bull. Mo City, what's happening, DJ Codeine? Man, hold up. Watch this. Hey, DJ Codeine, I don't know if I can say this online. Hey, you know about them cakes that's out in Mo City? Homeboy be making them cakes. Yeah, if he say yeah, we go have a laugh today. Tony Davis, what's up, man? Thank you. Well, what's popping? So what winds up happening is, now you can't take these losses and you manipulate for wins and wins and wins, but they're not really wins. You kind of cheat to win. You get what I'm saying? So people come to the back in like, yo, can we talk about the bitter baby dads? Gypsy Jews, don't worry about it. Let me, we actually, this is part of the reason why this came up. So I'm talking about bitter and broken people in general, including the baby mamas and baby dads. And I see why by your little face. Yeah, he wasn't gonna pull out. He trapped you, girl. Anyway, the bitter and broken brigade about. Let me move on to the next part though. The next thing about the bitter and broken brigade is not being what you seek. There are people who are bitter and broken because they want everybody else in the world to be something. The world needs to be a certain way for them, but they're not anything that they seek. We talk about, relationships all the time on YouTube, whether it's good or bad. But one thing that the men and women have is sometimes is unrealistic standards, right? You want somebody to be fine. You not. But you bitter because the fine people don't see you as fine, or you see yourself as fine, but how come these other fine people won't talk to me? Maybe because you're not what you see. You're not as fine as you thought. You want somebody to be who's cool, no. Okay, DJ Cody, I got you. Like, man, there's some good cakes though, dog. Good, sweet tooth cheesecakes. I'm just saying, fam. You Instagram that. Give my boy some business. You out in the mo, he in the mo. Anyway, and I'll be buying them drinks too, so don't trip. But the thing about it is, you want somebody cool, but you're not cool. You see yourself as cool, but you're not. Like, we're viewing ourselves through our own eyes and we're giving us extra credit. You know what I'm saying? You see yourself as successful, and you're wondering why people who are successful like you don't want to talk to you. And sometimes it's because you're not as successful as you think. And now you're bitter because there are people who are more successful than you doing better than you. It's like, well, I'm just like them. No, you're really not just like them. You're not. You think you are, but you're not. And that creates the problem. Now you're bitter and you're broken because what happens? You run into these people who are these things. And if you get in a room with these people who are fine, you get in a room with these people who are successful, you get in a room with these people who are cool, and it makes you insecure. And now you mad because, you become a hater and now you bitter and mad because they ain't nobody. They ain't all that. Everybody, they just overrated. No, if they overrated, they're in a group that overrates them. Does anybody overrate you? So if nobody overrates you, you overrated yourself. It's not you know, your value is kind of placed on what people value you as, in a sense. We in a speculation. Let's talk about that. Like, you know, you speculate you're dope. Other people have been granted, you know, the crown of dopeness. So these bitter and broken people are not being what they seek. You know, you want somebody who's healthy and you unhealthy. You know, you want somebody who got a sound mind and you don't, but you mad. Oh, Keyshawn, what happened was her mic went out and she had to get, and we couldn't get it back on. And tech support, she just got it fixed. She texted me by mistake because she was on a thing with tech support. You know, when you do, she tried to do it on Zoom first and it didn't work. And then we got on StreamYards and her mic switched to Zoom when the thing cut off. And I think she got it fixed because it messed with her computer a little bit. But it's good now. We're going to finish it up. Just so you know that, Keyshawn, we're going to finish it up. So it's coming. Don't sweat it. But back to not being what you seek. You know, when you want to be with somebody who is of a certain status, and being with them solidifies you, you know. Uh-oh. Yeah, evaluation slip is incorrect. Tell them again, Erica. You know, so now when you're looking at other people, man, hold up. Gotcha, Keyshawn. Codeine, I had the pineapple, the Hawaiian Sophie, that was a pineapple one. I had the strawberry one. I had the key lime one. All of them was good, actually. I got to get Nikki, though. That Nikki cake, that Nikki and that Cruella de Vil, that looked dope. And the red velvet. So I'm 3 in. I'm going to get the rest, though. But the strawberry one is real strawberry, like it's real strawberry, so they will fall off. But the strawberry cake is, man, them shit's good. I'm just telling you, they good. I'm just telling you, they good. Addictive. But thanks for adding them on IG. And if you do events, he'll come. You know, he'll come with the cakes and everything. So let me get back to this, y'all. My bad. I just had to, you know, kind of give up to my homeboy, Black Business, right? Appreciate you. So if you're not gonna be what you seek, you got to chill out, because a lot of people want to be are not even working on themselves. You want somebody who's of sound mind, but you're not working on yourself. Man, Franklin, thanks, man. My phone went off. I was wondering what just happened. Thank you, fam. You know, this is where the problem comes. And the reason I'm saying that, because I'm leading into the next topic about this. You got the bitter and broken brigade who have this big problem, projection. You know, part of the reason that I was making this and said something else happened today with my son's mother. And that's projection, where if you're doing something or you're accustomed to doing something, you project that onto the other person. So a lot of people are bitter and broken because how you get down, you expect other people to get down like that too. And you're not saying it's you're saying it's them. You know, gaslighting, all the other stuff. Make a long story short, I'm gonna give you the story. So I get a call. I call to talk to my son. He has a phone, but she cut it off, you know, whatever. So I call her to talk to him. And she gets on the phone. She's like, I'm gonna be home in 10 minutes. Give him the phone. Cool. 10 minutes later, I get a call. I think it's him. It's her telling me all the stuff that she not gonna do for me no more. And I'm like, I didn't ask you to do any of these things. You don't do any of these things. But she was telling me all the things she was not going to do and not going to do no more. And I'm just on the phone kind of like, huh? And I was like, yo, let me holler at you for a second. And then she gives the phone to my son and walks off. I'm like, all right, whatever. So the end of the conversation was, I'm not going to get in the middle of y'all conversations and basically be your advocate and make sure you and your son are cool because, you know, I think you disrespectful. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, cool. So I proceed to have a conversation with my son. And because she doesn't in the middle anymore, we have a great conversation. No drama, no issues, no nothing. Right? And I was just sitting on the phone like, what the heck? And then she jumps back on the phone to make it about her and mess up the conversation, and then jumps back off the phone. And I'm like, okay. So then we proceed to keep having a conversation. And I was laughing because I'm like, I noticed this about people who are bitter and broken. They always, it's got to be, you did this and you did that and you gonna do this. And I'm sitting there like, and at first I was getting upset because I'm like, I ought to cuss this broad out, for these stupid shenanigans. But then I just had the conversation. So me and my son's having a great conversation. No drama. And I thought about that with other people, when I talk to ladies talk about men with this projection. He like this and he gonna do this and he like this and I think he like this. Oh, these men are like that and these men are nothing but this and these men. And I'm like, okay, so what happened with your behavior? Self-care, what's happening? Man, I'm living good. I'm living good. So I'm like, what's going on? What's up with these men? And when you project on to other people, you ignore what you do, which is part of the conversation that I was having with my son. Because he had got mad about something a couple of days ago. And I was like, what you mad about? He said, I forgot. And I was like, listen, if you mad about something and you do something when you mad, whoever you did it to or affected, you might want to remember because they're not going to forget what you did. And he's like, they might just need to get over it. I'll forget, they need to forget too. I'm like, that's not how it's going to work. They're going to get at you in some way or another, whether if it's always leave you alone, because if you do something because you thought somebody did something, because him and his little cousin got into it because both of them thought each other were mad at each other for something they didn't even talk about. They had a misunderstanding about, and they come to find out, oh, I thought you felt like this and I thought you felt like that. And they were both completely wrong. So the same thing with men, these chicks are like this, these chicks are like that, they ain't this, they ain't that. Yeah. The problem is you project that on the wrong person. And if a person is not those things, if those persons are not those things, now you're treating this person like the person you got in your mind. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna get to something because I was listening to one of Kevin Samuel's live. Shout out to Uncle Kev, where this was happening, where somebody was projecting their opinion of what they thought was going on in the conversation onto everybody else who was talking to them, and that wasn't the case. So they were responding to how they thought they would be perceived, what they thought the people were trying to say, what they thought the people meant, and not actually the conversation at hand. So now bitter and broken people are creating situations because they're making situations out of situations that don't exist, like a schizophrenic. Anybody who knows, if one of the things about a person who's schizophrenic is, and I would call a person like this a schizophrenic listener. People who are schizophrenic and sometimes bipolar, they have these episodes, and that's why they say, if a person's talking to them, they're going to hear something completely different from what the person is saying. So if a person is saying, "Hey, are you okay?" They can hear, "I'm about to kill you," and not taking into consideration the mannerisms of the person's checking on them. They're hearing something completely different than what the person is saying. So what they respond to is what they're hearing in their head. Jeremiah, what's happening? So they responded to, "I'm going to kill you," but the person is saying, "Are you okay?" That's the thing about a person who's schizophrenic. They're hearing something that's not existent, and they're reacting to that. Great Black Shark, what's happening? Hey man, that's right. I'm the king of chicken sandwiches. Popeyes and Chick-fil-A ain't got shit on me. The King Kong of chicken sandwiches. But what winds up happening is we're in these situations where now you can project it on everybody, project it on everything. And now, people are responding to you because of your projection. And they're like, yo, what's going on? Thanks, classic. And now people respond to you about your projections, and you're like, huh? It's not like that. But it is, because you weren't talking to a person, you was talking to what you projected upon that person. Honey S, what's happening? Keith, what's going on? Oh man, a million videos, a million gazillion fulfillion. So, which brings me to my next point. The fifth point of this is the bitter and broken brigade has a habit of having a dysfunctional ideology. See, we talk about the law of attraction and speaking things into existence. Well, if you project something onto a person that isn't true, Darren, what's popping? When you project something onto a person that isn't true, where did you get that projection from? A dysfunctional ideology. you believe something inherently dysfunctional about somebody or a group of people. And now, since you believe it and that's your ideology, you project that on other people and you swear they are what your ideology says they are. You know what I'm saying? So now, keep you hilarious, you know, but now you put that on somebody else because your ideology says there it is, they're that in the third. Oh man, James Sandman, thank you, fam. You know, thank you. Now you're saying that this person is this because my ideology says this. You know, people will say, okay, say MGTOW has an ideology, that's the men, or you know, women have, you know, a feminist ideology, that's the women. You know, swirlers have an ideology, right? That's one thing. They'll say SYSBM has an ideology. So if you feel like the ideology is dysfunctional, now you're approaching the opposite sex like that. Same thing with racism and classism. You have a belief because of an ideology, and then you're looking for things to justify your belief. But the thing about it is, you bitter and broken because you got to create a situation to justify your belief. It's not a situation that just happened. You know, that proved a stereotypical situation. He said, "Oh, I got it. Look. Honey said, oh, look." So that's part of the issue. Now your ideology says this person is this inherently. This person is this by birth. This person is this because of society. This person is this. When this person says this, it means this. When this person does this, it means that. You get what I'm saying? So now your dysfunctional ideology makes you bitter and broken because guess what? When we have these dysfunctional ideologies, they're never complementary of the group where we have them towards. You don't look at the good points of a different group or the one you have this ideology against. You don't say, oh, those people are good. What I mean by that is this. You know, we talk about, you know, I'm a sports fan, so I talk about sports and whatnot. So I was looking at a clip on YouTube yesterday at about the top 10 HBCU players of all time, meaning historically black college, right? And Doug Williams came up, and one of the things that was said, you know, he revolutionized the black quarterback because when he was played in the NFL, it was a situation where black men weren't considered smart enough to play the quarterback position. Now, who was the linebacker from the Chiefs? Number 63. Jesus, I just forgot his name. Willie, and he's a Hall of Famer too. God dog it, I'm sorry, but he's number 63. As a matter of fact, now Walter Payton, JSU, I feel you. But you know what? Let me give a shout out to Walter Payton right quick, right there. But he because he was the linebacker when the Chiefs won their first Super Bowl. But back then they said, you know, black men weren't smart enough to be middle linebackers because they couldn't handle it mentally, and he was head and shoulders above everybody as a middle linebacker. You know, so now when you look forward, now they don't say black men are not smart enough to play positions like middle linebacker or free safety. But what they say is they're so athletic. So what they did was, because of their ideology, they can't accept the fact that these guys are actually smart and athletic. So you just got to be athletic, you know? So now we have a energy where, guess what? These guys aren't good because I said so, you know, because my ideology can't believe this, that, and the third. Going back to what I was talking about, the dysfunctional ideologies, that was the thing with Doug Williams. He shattered the mold because, oh, they can be smart. Well, you got to remember when Doug Williams was playing, I think Warren Moon was in the CFL. So what does that say, right? In the Canadian Football League. So when people believe this ideology is because they're bitter and they broken because guess what? I don't want to compete against somebody, so I'm a demonizer. This is why I have this dysfunctional ideology, because I need to demonize somebody. And why do you need to demonize somebody? Because you're bitter and you're broken and you want to make an excuses why you're so much better than another person that you don't have to compete. You don't have to put yourself in the same room. You can, by your default, say I'm better than this person by inherently. So I don't need it. I don't need the opportunity to put them in a position where they have to prove themselves. You know what I'm saying? But that's how it goes. You know, this is why I said, you know, the bitter broken brigade have what? The ideology. And you see, classy young man in his uniform, there was a time where brothers weren't smart enough to wear that. You get what I'm saying? So it's interesting, which brings me to my next point. The bitter and broken brigade have massive egos. Massive egos. They have an ego problem. You know, there is no humility with bitter and broken people. And why I say there's no humility is because it's always there's no accountability. You get what I'm saying? There's no accountability. There's no I did it. I'm sorry. My bad. I'm gonna get it right the next time. I'm gonna try to fix it. No, it's you did it. It's your fault. You know, the reason I did this is because of this, that, and the third. The reason you made me act like this. You made me say this. You made me do this. You know, because I'm in this situation right now, I had to respond like this because, you know, this is how it's going. Well, real honestly, you either bitter or you broken and you making up an excuse to do what you've been doing. Willie Lanier, thank you, fam. Willie Lanier, thank you. That was the linebacker I was talking about, Willie Lanier. You know, he was such an inspiration that Michael Singletary used to wear number 63 in college at Baylor. Y'all can look that up because he was his inspiration to even think to be a middle linebacker because of the racism at that time. But it's the ego. You know, the ego gets people in trouble. Now, we're in these situations where, and people don't think, you know, people think about confident people or accomplished people or people who might even be considered arrogant. They have egos because the egos are so big. Let me do that real quick. The egos are so big because of what they've done. Mr. Meach, what's going on, fam? I'm sorry. You know, their egos are so big because of what they've done. But we don't talk about the people who haven't done anything or don't attempt to do anything but cause drama. Their egos are big. Their egos are huge to the point where, you know, their egos destroy them. Their egos get in the way of the ego blocks their blessing because nobody can deal with their personality because they either can't deal with the bitterness because the bitterness gets in the way of hard work and effort and accountability, or they can't get past their ego because they're so broken that their ego puts everything on everybody else because I'm broken because this happened as a kid. I'm broken because I took this loss. I'm broken because people don't love me because of this, that, and the third. I'm broken because, you know, how all these other people think and how all these other people feel, even though you don't necessarily know how other people think and feel. As I get older, that's the funniest thing about life is I can get along with people of other races very much easier. I like to be around my own people. Don't get it twisted. But I can get along with people because guess what? I'm not looking over my shoulder like other races are out to get me because if they are, I can handle myself. That's okay with me. If you really want to take it there, we're going to take it there. Let your ego put you in a position where you feel like, you know, I'm food in the lion's den and you're going to find out you're dealing with something that you didn't want to deal with. But that's an ego issue, you know, because broken people need, like I said earlier, need a win. Bitter people need a win. So they'll do anything to get a win. They'll cheat to win. They'll lie to win. They'll steal to win. But why? Because their ego says they have no, they may have a bad conscience because I'm projecting to a degree while I'm saying this. So don't think I'm not cognizant of myself because I'm trying to make this argument. But the thing about that is psychology teaches you about the superego, the ego, and the id. Different from the words. So what that is if you've ever watched the cartoon, when you see the character standing and the devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other shoulder, the id is the devil, the ego is the person, the superego is the angel. So when you're having this conversation with yourself, usually the people that are bitter and broken are the people who listen to the devil on their shoulder. And they constantly listen to the advice of the devil on their shoulder. And because they listen to the advice of the devil on their shoulder, they wind up in worse situations. But their ego can't say it's them. You know, the classic Flip Wilson, the devil made me do it type of story, type of outlook on life. And you get tired of being around people with massive dysfunctional egos, because we even see it in sports and entertainment. Your talent can only take you so far, where at some point people are going to get tired of dealing with your ego if it's dysfunctional. We've seen it with, AB. His ego got out of hand and is dysfunctional. And you can tell he's bitter about things and he's broken about some things. You get what I'm saying? So this is the things that happen. What's going on, Miss Jazzy? So we're dealing with a society that's just off the chain. Off the chain in the bad sense of you'll never fix your brokenness and bitterness because your ego gets in the way. Like when people try to go to therapy. If you can't get along with a therapist and you need therapy, that's because your ego is more important than fixing your brokenness or your bitterness. You know what I'm saying? When somebody's trying to give you constructive criticism, you can't handle it and you think they're attacking you. That's your ego. They're saying can't nobody tell you nothing. That's a problem. Now, moving past that, one of the other traits of the bitter and broken brigade is they're imbalanced. And what I mean by that, I mean it in all ways. When you bring up relationships, your looks and your health is an issue. If you're overweight and unhealthy, you're imbalanced. And if you're saying you're overweight and unhealthy because of things that happened to you, they got you bitter in life and broken in life, and you're not taking care of your health, guess what? You're eating your pain away and it ain't going nowhere. What about if you're one of those people who drink or smoke or do drugs because you're bitter and broken? You have anxiety issues because you're bitter or broken in some way, and it's causing you to ease your anxiety or your pain with trying to balance your self-medicate yourself with stuff that doesn't matter. You're imbalanced as far as, some people are financially imbalanced because, some of us are bitter and broken and we're trying to buy our happiness. We're trying to buy ourselves out of being unbroken by the stuff we buy. I got this, I got that, I bought this, I bought that. A little retail therapy to the point that, financially you become imbalanced. You might go in debt trying to give yourself the good feeling of being important. You know what I'm saying? So now you're so imbalanced, it's ridiculous. So ridiculous. So now, because you've been around, and I've been around people like this who, in a sense, of pack rats and hoarders, because they always buying something, to make them feel better. And now they got a garage full of stuff, a closet full of stuff, a bunch of rooms full of stuff that they bought that they never use, but they bought on impulse because that made them feel better. Why? Because something in them is broken. I feel poor, so I'm gonna buy all this stuff to act like I got it so I could feel rich instead of being rich. That's imbalanced. Some people are, oh man, Jameson, what's happening? So some people are imbalanced sexually. You got people who are bitter and broken to the point that they can't have sex with people because they have bitter or broken sex. The type of people, the women who break down crying in the middle of sex and not in a good way, or the women who want you to kind of BDSM them. They like being choked. They like being, slapped. They like being spit on. They like being cussed out. They like just being kind of manhandled in a way that almost is beyond rough sex to almost kind of rapish. That's imbalance, right? So they're broken people. They can't necessarily be intimate. Then you have the people on the other side that are imbalanced who just are can't have sex because they're so traumatized. You know what I'm saying? To the point that, guess what? You so traumatized now that you don't have sex, and now you become, in a sense, sexually frustrated, and you don't know why, because you're imbalanced. And people say you might need to get one off, but they can't let anybody in in the first place. Their issue not necessarily sex. Their issue is intimacy, because they can't connect with somebody because they're so imbalanced, and so to themselves they become a hermit. I guess people will use that reference for like an incel, right? What he's involuntary celibate, but he don't really is looked at as a person who don't really leave the house, doesn't really talk to people, is socially awkward. He's imbalanced because he doesn't know how to communicate with other human beings. He can't talk. And I'm not saying can't talk as in English or language wise. He can't talk because he's too nervous to talk. He's thinking about everything he says before he says it, and it assumes the person will like it and won't like it without having a conversation. So he's imbalanced. So now, and that's because he's bitter and broken, because now he feels less than. He feels like he's not good enough. He's not important enough. He's not confident enough. So he shot himself down, and now he can't really, he's imbalanced on the other end of sexually. Then you got people who are imbalanced as far as, how can I say this? They're imbalanced because they're frivolous. Not necessarily the people who are spenders, not like the money people, but people who are imbalanced where they only do things, they have a tendency to do things that don't matter, or put their energy into things that don't matter. So they're unproductive because they don't put themselves in productive situations, because their bitterness and their ego won't let them put themselves in productive situations. So they get caught up in unproductive things, just regular shenanigans, right? And I clown like, the free-spirited type of person, or people you would think like have ADD or something, because when a person is so free-spirited, they're imbalanced because they have a tendency to not finish things. They'll start something, lose focus, and not finish it. And that's because they're broken. I need to start something new to make it feel fresh. They can never see a thing through. That's why they can't see their relationships through. They can't see their own dreams through. They can't see their interactions through, because it's always got to be a feeling. You're not supposed, everything has to be chemistry. So now you're so imbalanced because of chemistry and the need of chemistry that you never actually have a long-term staying plan. Or something about that. Now, I see you, honey. Yes, I'm not going to touch on that one because I got to move on to the next part. The bitter and broken brigade have this other tendency to be self-destructive. So whatever goes on around them, it doesn't end in a positive way. They gotta be self-destructive. And you see this, bitter and broken people do things. It's like being a young kid or an adult or an old person who has a death wish, who constantly does things that put themselves in danger, their health in danger, their life in danger, and they constantly throw caution to the wind. Some people are adrenaline junkies, where they constantly doing something that gets them a rush that may cost them their lives. You know how you see people who they used to have those videos of people standing on skyscrapers taking a selfie like it was cool. Look at me standing at 500 feet in the air on a skyscraper, leaning on the edge. Isn't that cool? No, you're an idiot. Why would you work yourself all the way up to a skyscraper, to the edge, to look over like that's a cool thing? Because one little false move, you fall. Ain't no coming back from that. But the idea is I'm gonna climb up here and not fall and show everybody I didn't fall. Well, for one, it's built in a way that you're not supposed to fall when you're on it. But take that out of the instance, the wind does blow, dummy. But you have people who are bitter and broken who keep trying to push the envelope. You see people like this. What's up, que pasa, mujer? 36, what's happening? Darren, yeah, is you that adrenaline junkie? You off the chain. I got a muscle car. I constantly see people, and when I'm driving, people want to race. And I had one of the funniest stories ever. I was on the phone going to my homeboy's house, and I'm on the freeway. It's kind of semi-traffic, it's moving, but you can't really blow by nobody. And this dude he's in a 5.0 next to me. He started revving it. I'm talking about 5.0. It was souped up. It had the racing back tires. So this guy was a racer. So I'm on the phone having a conversation. And this guy's like he's basically less race. He's looking over and revving, and traffic is going like 45 miles an hour, but the freeway is is a 70. So you see it's kind of packed. So I'm looking at this guy like, how the hell are you gonna race anyways? But then the other thing I looked at him was like, this dude was at least 400 pounds. So I told my homeboy, if he keep messing with me, I'm gonna pull over to him and I'm gonna roll my window down and say, you want to race? Cool. We're gonna get off the freeway, get your fat ass out the car. We're gonna race on our feet. See if you can win that. You know what I'm saying? But that was the thing about being self-destructive, because even if I wanted to race, I wouldn't race in the middle of a track and like slow traffic. That's stupid. You know, same thing with bitter and broken people. When I think about people who are in the streets, drug gangsters, right? Because they, you know, people got hurt and abused as a kid. Now I want to take that pain out on other people. People was broke and didn't have any money. So let me sell some dope, and I don't care who I hurt. You know what I'm saying? But if I get caught, I get caught. If I get in the shootout, I get in the shootout. Those are people who are bitter and broken, because why would you put your life on the line for something that minuscule, that mediocre, where there's so much more in the world? But some people aren't necessarily exposed to the better things in the world, so they don't necessarily know these things, right? So here's the thing. So you bitter, you broken, you gotta take all these chances. You know, bitter and broken people, the type of people who start arguments everywhere they go. You know, you are self-destructive. That's just my personality. That's just who I am. And I tell people all the time, somebody gonna slap the shit out you. That's what's gonna happen. Somebody gonna whip your ass. That's what's gonna happen. Ain't nobody gonna do nothing to me. Can't nobody tell me nothing. And unfortunately, I've been around the block long enough to know people got shot in the face like that. So your issue is you're bitter and broken. And I'm leading somewhere with this. I am definitely going somewhere with this. Skydiving, scuba dive, motorcycle, pro wrestling. You know, pro wrestling ain't that bad, you know, unless they drop your ass off the ring on the table. But it's gonna hurt. It's definitely gonna hurt. But this is the thing where you don't take measured risk, because these bitter and broken people don't take risk as far as having a better life by making good decisions. There's always trying to make a bad decision and trying to say, see, even if you do this negative thing, it can work out just fine. It's like, let me get this right. You're going to go playing in a snake pit and say, see, I didn't get bit. You're going to keep doing that. Okay, that you're going to be stupid. You know how y'all see those preachers, you know, holding snakes? You know, if God said this snake ain't going to bite me. God didn't tell that snake that. God didn't tell a venomous snake that it wasn't going to bite you. Stop lying. You know, if you fed that snake, he might not bite you. But if you keep holding that snake, he will bite you. And that's how people who are self-destructive are. They keep playing, you know, they keep playing and pushing the envelope until it's too late. That's why I'm going to go see Fast and the Furious again, because that's the epitome of that. I'm going to keep doing all this stuff and it's never going to catch up. And it's a Fast and the Furious 9, 10, 11, 37, because I don't know how if you keep getting into situations going to keep happening. But that's what it is. Original D, what's happening? So the next point, and the reason I'm saying it is the next point of this. The broken and bitter brigade, rather, they are crabs in a barrel. They don't want anybody to do good. If they don't do good, nobody could do good. And see, yesterday, me and my friend, we was out. We were talking about the situation with Kobe, and she was like, the thing about that with Gayle King was, it's not Gayle King that she got mad at. It's just that women get raped and people don't, and she feel like people don't believe them. And she was like, you know, that's a problem to me, where if a woman says she got assaulted or sexually assaulted or raped, you know, it's kind of, they feel like crabs, and, you know, I'm gonna drag you down because I don't believe you. She just thinks men don't automatically don't believe women as rape. And I told her 2 stories that happened in my own life, where a friend of mine, she got raped and she came to me, and I wanted to beat the guy. I wanted to beat the brakes off the guy. And then she told me not to. And because they had a child together. And then I left town because I was in college, and I came back to visit, and they was at it again. And that night I stayed the night at her house, and the dude didn't want no problems, because I'm like, you're not going to keep putting this girl through these shenanigans, because it went from she got away from him, but since they had a kid together, he would come through, try to roughshod the girl and all that. So I'm like, okay, I'm back in town now. I'm not in this college no more. So if I beat the ish out of you today, I'm not getting kicked out of school, suspended, nothing. My life ain't going to jail because I'm going right back out of town. So he didn't want no problems then. You know what I'm saying? And I think that kind of eased the situation for her for a while, and then she graduated, moved on, whatever. So I told her that story. And I said, now the flip side of that is I have a family member who I happened to see on her birthday. Shaki Daki, what's happening, Sadie? I had a family member who I happened to see on her birthday just by happenstance because I went back home to Chicago. So I went, some family stuff happened, and it happened to be her birthday. I pop over at the family member's house. They celebrating her birthday. So everybody eating cake and drinking. So I leave. A couple weeks later, she said she got raped, and I was a part of it by me, another cousin, and her father. And they called me like, what's up with, wait, what's going on? And I'm like, yeah, I told y'all she been acting like that for years. Y'all just whipped my ass when she was lying on me. Now she lying on y'all. Y'all see what it's like. So I had to tell her, I said, that's what I mean by bitter and broken people have a crabs in the barrel mentality, So that's the issue. It doesn't. and now we in these situations where, I'm gonna bring you down because I'm upset, I'm broken, and I feel like your life is so good right now. She needs therapy ASAP. Yeah, I get that. So now we in these situations where if you happy, I can't stand that you're happy. If you're at peace, I can't stand that you're at peace. If you winning, I can't stand that you winning. You know what I'm saying? So, and like one of the stories, like I don't even talk, like I would go back to my high school like the first year or two. I was in college, but there's been at least 2 or 3 stories, and I graduated like 20 years ago, over 20 years ago. But in the interim, there had been 2 or 3 stories in like a 5-year period where a kid came back home to visit the high school who was a former athlete or a smart kid, and he got shot and killed at home for Christmas break. You know what I'm saying? So, and why? Because these cats out there was haters. You left, you probably was in one gang, and you graduated, you left, you not gang banging, you in school no more, and everybody here you doing good in school. So if you come back home, I'm gonna put one in you. I'm gonna end this. The same thing with some of the ladies I know, who this guy's going so good, so let me lie on him. Let me call his job. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But now it goes to those scenarios and situations where you crabs in a barrel now. These people doing good. Oh yeah, he did this to me. And that's why, even the antithesis of the Me Too thing is part of those people are lying because they're bitter and broken because their dreams didn't come true. So now they're lying on other people. Some of those people are telling the truth though. You get what I'm saying? So that's part of the issue. Hold up. Yeah. So now that's a big issue. Big issue. Now, since you're going to be a crab in the barrel, you don't know how to. And the same people who don't want everybody else to have a great life and they want to drag everybody else down, they want to have a great life. How can you have a great life if you're a crab in a barrel? Because guess what? You're not leaving the barrel. And I know, like, I remember a long time ago, Lord Jamal said, crabs are not supposed to be in a barrel. It's an unnatural habitat. So they're all trying to get out. So they're pulling each other down because they're in a barrel. They're not normal to do that. They can't work together. Yeah, I get that part. But, I just had to give the opposite part of that analogy to put it out there. Now, the reason I say that, because I'm moving on, and this is the other topic that I got to finish with. Anime, what happened? Bitter and the bitter and broken brigade have this hard habit beyond being crabs in a barrel where they fight peace. Even if they have it in their life. This is why I was talking about people self-destructive and self-sabotaging. No, you notice if you talk to somebody or deal with somebody who's broken and bitter, they can't be alone. They can't be in the house alone. They can't be in silence. They can't be with their own thoughts, their own mind. their own presence, because they can't even be in a peaceful environment with themselves. So they gotta be somewhere. They gotta drink. They gotta smoke. They gotta eat. They gotta always be on the phone talking to somebody or doing something with other people who are just as dysfunctional as them, because they can't grasp what peace is. They'll never be successful because you can't be successful in chaos. You actually gotta, create some type of structure in your life to thrive. It's just like farming. You can't just grow a whole garden or farm just on grass and weeds, and you think you're just gonna plant some stuff in there and water that. Well, guess what? Even if the stuff does grow, you're gonna get to it. How you gonna get to it? Because you got to go. You got to take the weeds out of the way to get to it. And the stuff might be disformed because of the weeds. It might be unedible because of the weeds. The ground might not be as fertile because you didn't do things. Now you might have to burn the whole thing and start from scratch. And this is how bitter and broken people are when it comes to peace. They know how to scorch earth everybody else's lives, including their own, to burn everything down, but they don't know how to build anything up because they don't know about peace. They like the flames, they like the shenanigans, but they don't know how to build from scratch. They don't have a long-term thinking process. And that's why I was saying when I was listening to one of Kevin Samuel's thing, the person that you're talking to, he said it. You just want to argue. You just want to argue. Have you ever considered the fact that everybody that you talk to is not an argument? Sometimes it's a conversation. And I know some people who want to be successful, but they're bitter and they're broken, and they're looking for fuel to drive them to fulfill their dreams and their ambitions. But the problem with that is the fuel that they're looking for is always rooted in conflict and strife and confrontation. So they'll create confrontations that don't exist. And guess what? They burn bridges from their own success because they can't get past their bitterness and their brokenness. So now they're left, because one of the things about this, and I was talking to my son about this, when you burn bridges because you can't have peace, which means you can't work with other people, which means you can't have working relationships. When you burn enough bridges, you wind up leaving yourself on the island. You burned all the bridges. So now it's just you. So what are you going to do now? Burn yourself up? Because now either you're going to have to build new bridges or you're going to have to just be by yourself. And you see, he said, hell yeah, I feel you on that one. And the original D, it just builds up. So now when you see these people who they can't have a good day. When people are very moody, when you look at them one day, they're one way, the wind blows, they're another way, but people around them could be happy. They like angry Smurf. There's a whole celebration going on, and angry man on Martin, shut up, man, shut your ass up. Like that. You see the people who are bitter and broken, people are laughing, ain't nothing funny. Actually, something is funny. I don't know why y'all celebrating. Well, because something good happened, fool. But it was never them. And something that my mother told me about recently, burn up everything in it. And that's where, when people talk about somebody who got a bunch of skeletons in their closet and they get new to a different city. I need a fresh start. Some people are those people who are fighting peace, so they got to start fresh somewhere else because they burnt up everything else where they went. But getting back to one of the things my mother talked to me about, she said, sometimes in life, you might not feel like you did a lot, but you've done more in your lifetime than people older than you have done in their whole lifetime. And that might be a problem for them. And it might be a problem for you not being able to know that. And I think about that because there are so many people who wasted their potential and wasted their lives and wasted their time, and now they're bitter and broken because of the fact that, guess what? They ruined themselves. They were lazy. They were inefficient. They were instigators and shit starters. They talked a lot, but they didn't back it up. Now they don't have anything to show for it. So now they when it's time to settle down and be peaceful, because you're supposed to at least acquire a certain amount of resources by a certain amount of time so you can actually have a peaceful life. Now they don't have that, so they fight everybody else's peace. In the last few years, I've heard of so many people who are grown, who've inherited property, money, as far as succession, which means death and inheritance from a parent, and they've blown it all, and now they're back to square one, and they don't know how to handle their lives because they never understood how to be peaceful. They never understood when they was winning, and now everybody around them has to be in a fight with them because they're in a fight with all the things that they did wrong. So when you come across the bitter and broken brigade, ain't nothing gonna change that. It just ain't. You know what I'm saying? It just ain't. And the bad part about it is, bitter and broken people don't want the help. They want to keep being bitter and broken. And true story, and I'm about to leave and get off of here now. My granddad is very old, to the point where some of y'all know this if y'all got parents and grandparents. Certain people get old, and sometimes it's Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, where you start to forget to walk or how to walk, and you're gonna need help walking. So all of this falling, he doesn't want help because he wants to do everything on his own. But the problem is, a person that old, he doesn't know how to sit down and be in one place at one time because he's like a nomad. So he's fighting the peace to sit down and be old and be helpful. And I'm saying this for a reason, because my grandfather is in his 70s, and he's burned all of his bridges with his own family, to the point where, my grandfather goes out in public and tells people that he don't have any kids or grandkids. And my father and my aunt find this out. You know what I'm saying? Marshall, what's happening? Magnolia, the mouth of man, Calio Fisher, Desire. Yeah, from that 9, and I don't mind. You know what? We ain't gonna do that today. So now, but he'll go out and tell people he don't have no kids, and i.e. he don't have no grandkids, but he want those same kids and grandkids to help him. He got all these friends who are old. They're old. He has friends in like San Francisco, in Atlanta, in what is that? Oakland, Inglewood, L.A. Mississippi, and he's a nomad. He constantly moves and moves and moves. And the reason I'm making this point about bitter and broken people, because I've seen this happen, and I'm using them as an example. I don't want anything bad to happen to him, but he's gonna get old and pass away, so that happens because we all die. But his friends in California, they have like $1 million homes. Why? Because he's so old that they bought those homes in San Francisco when it was like $30,000, and in Oakland when it was like $30,000, and in LA when it was like $30,000. And the nice homes too, right? Thank you, Miss Muhammad or Mrs. Muhammad. Thank you very much. So what winds up happening is, now he keeps going back to his friends, and they've got 1 home, 2 homes, maybe 3 homes, because when they were the same age, those guys was like, because they were military guys, they got all his property. So he can come and stay with them anytime, but he has no property. The guys in LA and Vegas, people retired in LA and other places, and they sold a home and they moved to Vegas. You know what I'm saying? Because it was cheaper, and they living good older, right? Same thing to people in Atlanta, the people in Mississippi, and he kept going places, and now in his 70s he has nothing to show for it, and he kept moving and moving to the point it's hard for him to get an apartment. So now he's got to be in like bad apartments because he has a history of just broken leases. And that's part of being bitter and broken, because now you can only run so long. No, he doesn't have, like, I talked to my granddad a few years back, and I said this on one of my videos. He was like in his late 60s. He's like, I'm gonna buy a house. I'm like, how you gonna buy a house now? Who gonna give you a 10, 15, or 30-year mortgage now when you like 68? You know what I'm saying? But I see people like that right now who are bitter and broken, and the reason I'm saying this about them fighting peace and being self-destructive is because ultimately bitter and broken people always feel like they got time. And I'm using my own grandfather as an example. As if you could think you got time so long that 70 years could go by, and you constantly, living from pillar to post, or constantly in a situation and constantly needing help, or constantly can't take care of yourself, or constantly having people bail you out of situations because what? You're bitter and broken and you never fixed the situation. You just moved and moved and moved. Sometimes you can't keep moving on in life without addressing your own issues. Because if you do that, you're just going to be moving and bringing your issues everywhere you go. You fix the issues, you fix yourself, you can grow and blossom. If you don't, you won't. You know what I'm saying? So, Andre, man, thank you for showing up, fam. So ultimately, that's what this was about. Now, I had y'all on for an hour. In 6 minutes, I'm gonna get out of here. Gregory, what's up? Salute to everybody that came. Thank y'all all. And I just wanted to get this off my chest and make a point, because life is like that, man. Get away from bitter and broken people. They're never gonna be good to themselves, so they can never be good to you. So peace, y'all.